My guess is that Gawain will eventually lose. Love her, but I don't see her in the final. However, I bet at the end of the fight she will either get a clue or figure out and then try to tell Percival, but our boy will probably say nah and he'll win. I don't need help. Wait, okay, I kind of see this as a thing. Gawain's entire fight, she's been trying to figure out how to beat Balon throughout his entire invincibility ability. So, her figuring it out right as she loses, or at least getting an idea, I do wholeheartedly really agree that is a very strong possibility of that happening. But I do think that Percival would basically take her up on that, because I love Percival. He ain't the smartest tool in the shed half the time, and I feel like if Gawain is actually offering him, like, intel on his opponent, if Balon makes it past Tristan, if Gawain loses, then Percival will probably take it. Most likely. I have that as a very strong possibility. Doesn't anyone think about Toguro when someone uses percentage along with muscle growth powers, or is it just me? I don't understand how I did not make this distinction. Because, like, this entire arc, I've been referencing Yu Yu Hakusho in the Dark Tournament for the multiple times when characters are just completely obliterating the stands and the bystanders, and as like aftermath or in the way of their fights. I did not think Toguro, the GOAT. And, man, I cannot believe I did not think of the guy, because this just feels like an obvious reference to have in terms of your antagonist having, or at least in this case Gawain, protagonist being able to, like, gain muscle mass with the percentage number. If she says like 120%, that'll be hilarious. But yeah, I cannot believe I did not think of that. Life with no struggle or any need for improvement is a fate in a circle that make life less enjoyable, something to strive higher, not seeking perfection, but seeking to climb a higher level with an endless amount of levels to climb, but each step harder to climb. You can settle or grow. That is where Balon is. He is the kind of person who seeks the next challenge, not settle the top, but find the next mountain to climb. Okay, did you just completely tell us who Balon's character is wholeheartedly and will most likely be the story for Balon? Because, yeah, I think you probably nailed it. Because, like, whenever there's a character with such high strength, a lot of times they're just bored and they're just lazing around, not really looking out for the next challenge. But Balon, he knows that he's incredibly strong and hasn't really taken any real injuries, but he is actively seeking for the next challenge so he can keep, in a sense, to, I wouldn't say climb higher, but to at least give himself a challenge, because, like you said, if you're stuck at the top, not being able to struggle, you're just going to stagnate, and it wouldn't be very much of a life worth living, and I think that's Balon's whole story, and why he keeps implying on his destiny in terms of that. Sorry to comment again, I'm just wondering, when you go back and do your reviews and retrospectives on Seven Deadly Sins manga, are you going to be doing it by volume, or by each chapter, like how you do the Four Nights of the Apocalypse chapter reviews? I'm actually planning to do it by arc, actually. Like, I'm going to take a couple of chapters for the retrospective. By the way, I'm going to start that retrospective and read the manga Seven Deadly Sins for the retrospective once I hit 30k subscribers. I only have, like, after this video comes out, I should only have like 1,000 subs left before I hit 30k. So, if you want to see that, subscribe so I can get that sooner and I can actually, like, get off my ass and do that a lot quicker. But I'm planning to go by arc for the most part, just so I can have solid endpoints. That way, I could, like, just talk about certain aspects of the story as I'm reading it, like fresh thoughts on the arcs as I go along, because I think that would probably be better. And also, I don't want to make a massively long video that will take a really long time to edit to be fully in detail on my thoughts as I go back through the story. And it'll give me extra content to do for every few weeks. I don't know if it's going to be a weekly thing, probably every 2 weeks, so I can just have time in between, so it's not oversaturation. I haven't decided that, but I'll see what happens when I hit 30k. But yeah, I'm planning to go by arc for the most part when it comes to the reviews. Big Mommy Sunshine stocks are up. Like, you love to see it. Absolute brilliant character development. It's nice to see that she's becoming come a very long way from when she was in her first introduction. You love to see it. She's no longer a selfish piece of work. She actually cares about others, but she's also still very prideful. I agree. Full-heartedly, I said this in the review also, Gawain's development has been pretty damn good in comparison. Look, I liked Gawain. I like a prideful jackass who will get their butt handed to them and then just be humbled insanely, and then having a character flaw to work through. And I think Gawain is a pretty decent way to do it, and I think by the time we reached the Demon Realm arc, that was when her development really started to solidify, and Percival's return post-time skipping them teaming up wholeheartedly solidifies her development to a much more selfless character with an ego to match still, which I really do love. But yeah, she's still one of my favorite characters in the series, so I am incredibly excited to see how this is going to go forward. But yeah, Gawain, Big Mommy Sunshine, if you guys want to keep calling her that, go right ahead. That'd be hilarious. Just spam the comments if you really want to. Every single time you get a Gawain chat, that'd be freaking hilarious. It'd be a nice channel meme. What if Balon is disguised as Lancelot? Okay, I keep seeing this. Guys, it makes no sense for Lancelot to be Balon, because Percival is there. It's stated twice that Percival can tell from life spirits who somebody is. It's how they found Gawain in the first place. If Lancelot was there, then he would notice Lancelot. And we also further explain this when they meet Tristan, when Percival's like, no, that's definitely Tristan. That's not a fake or a clone or whatever, or someone in the skies. That's Tristan. You can't mistake his soul / life spirits around him and as a part of him. So can we just drop the Balon as Lancelot thing? I want to see Lancelot too. I want to see my favorite character again in the story. But at this point, it's just starting to become a little bit of a joke. I don't know if it is a joke for this comment, but can we kind of like drop it right now just to see what we can do with it? You should try to be a voice actor. I've actually wanted to try and be a voice actor before this channel really took off. I tried like some auditions for like a bridge series and some what ifs, but like never had the opportunity. Maybe I'll try again. But I just have a lot of work to do. I appreciate the compliment, but I don't see myself as a voice actor yet or being part of actual voice work. At least not for a while, unless I get like good practice in. But thank you. Bro, why the fuck is Tristan not being focused on to be OP? I'm tired of this shit. I think it's because Tristan is actually OP that he's treated the way he is. Because, let's face it, Tristan, outside of Lancelot, is broken. We saw it at the end of the Demon Realm arc, what he's capable of by using his powers to the fullest extent that they can. Which is why Tristan has the limitations and is facing opponents that can actually either outmaneuver him or, like, get him to lose focus so that he can, like, lose or get in a disadvantaged situation. Because, look, let's be honest. I know it's, like, a meme at this point that Tristan gets, like, literally get his shit rocked. But that only really happened, like, once. His fight against Io after, well, okay, twice. No, 3 times, technically. Arthur, then it was Schwartz, and then one quick moment against Testament Beast at the end of the Demon Realm arc. I can understand that, but, like, in each situation, it makes sense for why he was taken out. Because, again, outside of Lancelot, the other characters aren't the most OP characters ever, at least not yet. And I feel like this gives Tristan some more room to grow for himself in terms of developing as a character and to truly, learn how to use his abilities in the best ways possible. Like we saw in his fight against Keon. His limit is like 5 minutes now in demon mode. Before, he could barely last like a couple of seconds to a minute before like completely losing control and being unable to turn back. That's a big improvement in the span of 2 years, which I think is rouse for applause at this point. Once Tristan gets back to his senses, he will, start to get a lot more focus. I guarantee it, because I highly doubt after him having a full, technically 2 mini movies in between 7 Deadly Sins and Four Knights of the Apocalypse, with those events, him being the primary focus, I don't think Nakaba's not going to give him anything, just not get any focus at all. He'll get an arc, maybe either the next one when it comes to finding Lancelot. He'll probably get a lot more focus, if I'm being honest, because we spent a lot more time with Percival and Team Percival getting a lot of the development, and a lot more on Gawain. So I feel like Tristan is definitely overdue for more development and focus by the time this arc's over, or when we reach its end, when he eventually gets his memories back. I feel like the only way Balon gets done in is if he goes up against Percival. Considering his life spirit, I'm sure he has an ability that doesn't count as magic or physical force. Here's the thing, everything counts as magic in the 7 Deadly Sins, Four Knights of the Apocalypse universe, and Percival's ability to, you take someone's life spirit, that is a spell that he's capable of using. He literally casts a chant in order to do so, to command the life spirit to just, pluck someone's soul from their body. I do agree that Percival has the highest chance of taking out Balon, but I do have to say one quick thing, is that Balon has might have an overwhelming will to live, and so if his will to live is strong enough, that spell might not even work on him, and so Percival will have to legitimately try and touch him in order to use that spell to drain his life spirit directly from direct touch in contact. But again, since Percival's powers directly tied to like a magic force and the life spirits, it's very possible that Balon's invincibility can still block against it. I do think that might be a strong possibility if we want to like keep bringing up the fact that Balon is, well, invincible. So yeah, I do kind of think that's going to be a thing. You know, I just realized something. We've never seen what Lancelot's magic is called. You're right and you're wrong. You see, I made a short a little while ago, back when I think volume 13 or 14 of the manga came out. There was like an afterword with some extra details on like the weapons of the Four Knights of the Apocalypse, as well as their actual magic names. And Lancelot's magic name is called Hazy Moon. We don't have full details of what it is. That's part of the mystery of Lancelot. But in the main series, we haven't heard what Lancelot's ability is called. Heck, chapter 190 is our first actual title drop of Gawain's magic. That is the canonical explanation as well, and the name of Gawain's magic ability, Dawn. That is the first time we hear about it in the story. So I see what you mean, but it was just supplementary material at the end of the day. I personally wonder if this is the Demon King's ability, and this is like some type of reincarnation of him. I would explain why he hasn't been. It would explain how he hasn't been scratched yet. I'm betting Gawain loses using only attacks, and Percival uses healing magic to repair the damage done to him. Accidentally heals Balon, then doing some damage. I see where you're going with this, but it's not the Demon King. I've made a previous discussion on this about Balon being the Demon King again. I really don't get the obsession that we have with the reincarnation of the Demon King and again the supreme deity. Their time is done, and nothing happened that would give him the will to want to reincarnate, and no spells were cast to have him be reincarnated. And Balon's ability works differently because it only works with magical attacks. Gawain was hitting Balon with physical force too, and that wasn't working, so that automatically just disqualifies the Demon King's ruler ability at the end of the day. So yeah, Balon, not Demon King 100% with this latest chapter to fully confirm things, but yeah, I feel like outside of the Lancelot being Balon theory, Balon being the reincarnation of Demon King theory, I kind of feel like is kind of run its course, and I feel like we should probably drop it unless Nakaba decides to do some grand revelation, which I really hope he doesn't. It would kind of ruin the deaths of the Demon King and Supreme Deity and the whole point of their time being done and the Age of Chaos being here. I legitimately feel like it would be pointless to do so. Donnie is the best counter for this guy. They need to get a ring out, mentally disable him, or trap him. He seems extraordinarily strong, so fighting him head-on will not work, and so won't elemental magic. But mental, trap, and force magic will. He can be trapped and pushed with magic, just not taking damage. Donnie could lift him up and take him out of the ring. I feel like the fighters are being dumb trying to punch him instead of flay him. He is all but strength. Time to use tactics. He is only immune to damage, but not effects. He was trapped in ice. She should have pushed him off the ring because it took him a while to break out. I see where you're going with this, but here's the thing. Balon is quick and he is smart. Yes, he's taking hits, but he's a veteran warrior. I doubt he would just sit there and let them push him out the ring. Also, he literally just took that ice attack, and I guess and then they shattered it almost instantly. He probably just wanted to see if it would work, and they just shattered it with just flexing his muscles. So, yeah, I know where you're going with this, and I do think a ring out would be good, but again, he's not that dumb. It's been shown that he is smart and can read the room. So if he's being led into a trap to, force him out of the ring, I feel like he would figure it out. But I like where your head is at. Winning with tactics is definitely going to be the way to go, but it most likely has to be the figuring out a way around his ability. He is very strong, but I think that is where we're going to go with this as things progress forward. It's funny, not long ago, Gawain commented on Diodora magic being more like a curse, and now Balon said he wants someone to change his fate. So could this hint at when Balon awakened his magic? It was maybe something similar to Diodora did, making it somewhat a curse to him. Also, I wonder, will the creator explore this idea of people awaken their magic through a form of despair, intentionally cursing themselves in the process? I like where your head is at. Because, again, I even said this in the review, the whole thing of him mentioning destiny, it would really be great because that actually shows, because, even in Seven Deadly Sins, it wasn't fully focused on, but from Seven Deadly Sins and now through Four Knights of the Apocalypse, we've seen people's magic abilities awaken through stress or near-death experience, or near-death experience or threat of dying. And a lot of times it pertains to like the state of mind they're in. So perhaps Balon, when he was awakening his magic, wanted to be invincible, wanted to be the unbreakable wall to protect somebody. But the irony is, by the time he awakened his magic, the people he wanted to protect or be that strong wall to basically be there in the face of danger were already dead. And I feel like based off of how like Anne awakened her magic both times, how we ended up getting Percival like awakening his magic kind of as well. We got Nazian's like truly awakening the power of the Fairy King to use Chastity Fold and be chosen, was under extreme stress. We got Theodora now obviously literally being killed in order for their magic to be reawakened, and that was all based on their state of mind of despair to kind of rewrite the rules of the world, essentially. So I do like that, and it fits very well into the rules that we've been established over the two series of how people awaken their magic power. It's like how Jericho awakened her ice magic shortly after her brother's death. That literally helped her awaken her magic ability. Which, yeah, it makes a lot of sense, and I do want to explore this a bit more, and I feel like Balon, his backstory will definitely truly give us a bit more for it. If you think about it, Dawn is less like sunshine and more like Divine Axe Rita, storing up heat over time to release it at a later point, which also bets the question of how long does it take for her to build up enough heat to go into the one? How long can she last in that, and does it stack? Okay, that is something I have been thinking of after the chapter came out. I did not think about Rita in that instance when I was recording the review, but you are right. It is literally Divine Axe Rita's ability, Charge and Fire. And yeah, I really do like the idea that she might have a limit. And I have been thinking about how long it would take Gawain to recharge, because she did use up all of her power during the Leonis arc. Now, we don't know if she was like just slowly losing power as she was maintaining her initial set buff form until she used up all her power on Melagallon. But I think it was well over a week or so before the Demon Realm arc, and by that point, she was only like when she like entered her buff state, she was only like I think at half strength, which is why she hadn't entered her buff form since Leonis going into Demon Realm. So, if I want to be technical, if I have to make a guess at how long it takes for Gawain to like fully store up her power for her to like be able to use at full capacity, give it a month, at least pre-time skip. If like 2 to 3 weeks was literally what gave her up to 50% during Demon Realm arc, or roughly 50% if I remember correctly, then I say at least a month pre-time skip she gets full power to store up. Post-time skip, maybe she worked on it and was able to, store more power. Because right now she was able to like access 80%, but also go back down so she wouldn't waste so much of that power. And it implies that she could lose all that power very quickly if she like unleashes that high percentage, which is why she tends to maintain her baseline buff form when she's fighting. Which I like that. It adds a bit more strategy to when and where she wants to use her abilities. And I really do like that. I want to see how that plays out. Has anyone thought about the implications about Gawain's power and fate? In the future, she could die as Escanor, consumed by her power. But I've got another theory. Dawn and Sunshine have some differences. Dawn is a charging ability. At some point, she reaches her full capacity and she can use it when she wishes. Sunshine is a constant power-up with a precise time curve, which reaches its peak at noon, while Escanor's body mutates and is bathed in that growing explosive power without controlling the process. Instead, Gawain has a certain energy capacity, and when she possesses it, she can activate and deactivate it when she wishes. Gawain at certain points stops absorbing energy. For me, Dawn is a variant of Sunshine created by Merlin to be more compatible with humans. That was a big paragraph, but I think it hit the nail on the head. It would be interesting if Gawain was going to hit a similar fate to Escanor, if she overused her ability at full capacity to the fullest extent too often. A part of Escanor and Sunshine is that when Escanor was fighting or using his abilities so often, even with the one at high noon and then going down, that was how it was damaging his body and shaving down his life. But Dawn, I do agree, is a much more capable and much more, manageable version of Sunshine, considering that Gawain can store up the power. I can use it whenever she wants without having to be constantly, growing stronger and getting weaker, like at a set interval. Thus, she can access her full strength at any time. I feel like Merlin doing it to to change the aspect of sunshine, of a grace, and giving it to somebody else so that it's more compatible with humans, that would be interesting, but I don't think Merlin's ever shown to like alter the very course of someone's magic power, their essence of magic, because it's more or less kind of infused with the soul to an extent. But I would like the theory, I'll add in my own theory, that Dawn is, like you said, a variation of sunshine, but due to it being with Escanor for so long, and it basically adapting to Escanor's life force, and Escanor using his own spirit and life to fuel Sunshine even more, to go past his limits. By the time Sunshine left his body when he died, and it found its new host in Gawain, Sunshine changed into Dawn so that it wouldn't kill its host over time, so that it could be a perfect mesh with the person that utilizes its power. That's what I think Sunshine has become for Gawain and why it is acting differently. So, and also kind of makes it so that the power, like with Lancelot explaining On's like magic power evolution, how stress, personal experience, and just constant practice can have a magic power either change or just straight up evolve. And so I think that's what happened with Sunshine eventually to Dawn, if Dawn is like a variation or an evolution of Sunshine. While it's not a constant power-up right away, it is storing power so that it wouldn't instantly kill its host with the amount of time it keeps, charging, giving power and then losing power. I think that's where it kind of goes for, and I kind of appreciate giving the idea on the capacity, how it's a different version of Sunshine, and the ability to make it compatible with humans. So yeah, I really do like that theory, and I think my version of it also kind of adds another layer of nuance to the magic ability as well. But the theory of Gawain potentially reaching a similar fate to Escanor, I can see that happening. I don't want that to happen, and I feel like if it's done differently, it could work for her story. But I kind of don't want her to die. But at the same time, if it's shared fate with Sunshine, aka Dawn, it's possible. But we just gotta wait and see at the end of the day. But yeah, those were all the comments of the week. I had a lot of comments to sift through to try and find ones to talk about again this week. And some of them were like similar, so I didn't want to like repeat myself with multiple comments of the exact same manner of thinking. But a lot of good comments again this week, and I kind of love doing these videos. I really like the interaction with you guys. But yeah, how do you feel? Are you guys excited for the next chapter? Because by the time this video comes out, the chapter should be out like the next day. So we'll see with our answers, with everything being answered. If you're someone that looks into leaks, do not post in the comments below in this video, please, so that people going into my next review talking about the next chapter go in blind for the most part. So please be respectful in the comment section below. And if you haven't seen your comment in this video, chances are it'll be in the next week's video. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this week's chapter extended discussion with the comments, and be excited for next week's. And with all that said and done, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell for more, and hope you all have an awesome day.